Anyway, nevertheless, I will also bring into my colleagues, that is Priscilla and Robert. Good morning, Priscilla.
Good morning to you, Felix Nkunda. Good morning to you, all of Uganda. Thank you so much for joining us on this wonderful Wednesday. You have talked about the swearing in of members of parliament, and you called them another bunch of MPs that are swearing in. In my head, I pictured a bunch of matokis. Like, no, Felix, sincerely, a bunch of matoki. Anyway, today is day 3, and we do congratulate those that have already sworn in, and we are expectant of another 132 being sworn in today. My name is Priscilla Nalwoga, and as we get into this Wednesday, of course, you have talked about God and why do they only commit to God every after 5 years. I suppose their spell is that the God they commit to on this day of swearing in can sustain them throughout the 5 years. I'm assuming that is their understanding of these things. But we have a man that has been groomed by the word of God and church. And let's see what he has to say about it. Good morning to you, Robert.
A lovely morning to you, Priscilla. And of course, to everybody watching, our brothers and sisters in the diaspora, thank you so much for watching UBC TV on our various social media platforms. Now, for me, I can only gauge on the bills they pass. To what extent do we see the element of factoring in God?
Okay.
Do we see, for example, recently the homosexuality, how it was ensured that in the sexual offences bill, homosexuality is included? For me, I would say, good and done. When you look at some policies they pass, do we see an element of God? But Priscilla, for me, I want to take you on a lighter note. Yesterday also district chairpersons were swearing. And we had the ceremony, yes, whatever.
Yes.
We had a repeat of the same yesterday. But also in Parliament, there were a bit of some lighter moments away from Monday. Yesterday, I saw a man. He had escorted, that is Feta Geoffrey, who was swearing in as MP, that is for Aivu East in Arua City. I'd never seen that kind of trouser. It had 2 belts.
Oh, the 2 belts trouser. It's fashion forward.
Then also the way he was moving and dancing.
It was a pride moment for him. How many times is he going to step in parliament?
He said it was his first time.
Reason? That's what I'm saying. It was a moment of pride for him, and he had to bring his A game. Now, his expression of that pride was through his fashion sense.
And the dancing around. But we also saw, I'm not sure if they were co-wives or it was a sister and a wife, also fighting.
So someone got that clip of that particular member of parliament swearing in, and they actually put it on social media, and they said that co-wives battling at the swearing in of MP. But the actual truth of it is that one is the wife of the MP, the other is the sister to the MP. So this is the problem of social media. You easily consume news without verification, and this is where we recommend that you watch TVs like UBC, because it's verified before it's actually put there, so that you consume objective truth. But now if you consume on social media, it was all over the place, and I'm thinking, no, this cannot be right.
Well, of course, Priscilla, having said that about, I just want to just also ask you a question, and Robert. There's this one country that is having consideration to pass law that at least also women, you see, for men it's called polygamy, and for women, is it polyandry, if I'm not mistaken, that women will be allowed to have more than one man. And that's why I want to ask Nalwoga, Priscilla, and Nari. What would...
They already have.
What are you saying?
Okay,
in this sense of
just legalize.
I'm having a sit-down boycotting.
For what?
Yeah, I will keep my mouth closed.
Oh, because you actually, in normative of legal practice, we assume that silence is yes.
Good. So let us
Kirabo, what do you think about that?
First, they're already having. They're just going to legalize that.
Because
there's a couple of women that have more.
You don't say, Robert.
Then, but to get more serious on that, Felix, I believe in the Bible. I believe in the Word of God. The more we are draining away from what is biblical and what is godly, that is why we are seeing some of these strange things happening. Because
so what is biblical?
You know, biblically, a man is supposed to have one wife, and a woman is supposed to have one husband. That is why there is adultery. So the more we push for these things that I call nonsense, that's how we go to homosexuality, where we know in the Bible there's a whole city that was destroyed. Now you're pushing for women to have more, just even in creation.
Actually, in that state, men are already allowed to have more than one wife. So that it comes from that sort of like argument. But anyway,
the more we push for equality, we are going to blunder, and we are going to.
So it's okay for a man to have more than one woman, but it's not okay for a woman to have more than one man. That's what you're saying.
Yes, I am in the field reporting. Please.
No comment.
Because, you know, I was just thinking about this as I was coming here, and I was thinking, so a woman, a man will have, say, 3 wives and have maybe about 7 kids with him or 10, and they will all be his children, you know, regardless of the mothers. They all have the same father. What happens to the woman who has 10 kids from different, let's say 7 men? How do you deal with that? It's bizarre.
How do you deal with that? You of the Bible.
It's problematic. But
the problems you're going to create, at the end of the day, you regret. First and foremost.
You know, for you don't create problems by having 3 wives and 7 kids.
See, they all belong to one man.
Hey.
And over a time, it has been a normality.
And the others also all belong to one
woman.
But what happens is, Felix wants to say...
But anyway...
Now just look at some of that.
But honestly, my honest opinion is sometimes we don't have to fight for spaces.
Yes.
Men are good as men and women are good as women. That is in my thought. And I think sometimes we must just take choices that define us for who we are. If it is something you believe in, be happy doing it. If it's something you don't want to do or don't believe in it, don't be guided by laws. We are beyond this the revelation of laws. So we are in a realm of spiritual guidance. So be guided by the things that you believe in than the laws. There's a law because now there are sexual laws in Uganda. Come on, how do you even enforce that? Now someone is going to go and say, Kirabo, I told him to stop there. Then Kirabo went high. They what? Jesus.
Engaged another G at the end of the
already
day.
Kirabo has now words to define. Their G has already
Kirabo
so.
set off in the air.
Then you want the plane to stop. So what? You want us to crash? And
okay, all right. Well, the day has started on very well for us. We trust that it has started on well for you. If not, well, our infectious smiles should be able to rub off you and start off your day in a good way. Now, you can follow us on our social media handles for more live updates, continued live updates, especially from the swearing in. You can go to Twitter at UBC TV Uganda and be able to catch up on those updates. Equally, you can catch Good Morning Uganda live and also the streaming live of the members of parliament swearing in today, and that is on our Facebook page, which is UBC TV. And then when you go to YouTube, type in UBC Television Uganda and you will be able to follow the events as they unfold.
We now look at some of the stories that happened in the last few hours, beginning with the swearing in of the Speaker of Parliament, Rebecca Kadaga, as a member of Parliament, actually former Speaker. The Speaker of Parliament, Rebecca Kadaga, took oath to the 11th Parliament. That was yesterday. Kadaga, who is also Kamuli District Woman Member of Parliament, promised her electorate better service delivery. The chairperson, Uganda Women Parliamentary Association, Kamugo Pamela Nasio, also took oath. Arriving to an amazing and warm welcome was Speaker of Parliament Kadaga. After taking oath, Kadaga looked re-energized, expressing readiness to improve service delivery in Kamuli District, Busoga Sub-Region. She maintained ambitions of seeking re-election to the Speakership of Parliament. Earlier in the day, another newly elected and also other re-elected members of Parliament were sworn in, including the woman member of Parliament for Bukedia District. Pamela Nasio is also the chairperson, Uganda Women's Parliamentary Association. Other members who took oath to the 11th Parliament made similar promises.
National Resistance Movement has defended its process of speakership selection as being guided by the law. This follows its pronunciation of calling for the expression of interest for the post of Speaker and Deputy Speaker in the 11th Parliament. The NRM Electoral Commission has released guidelines for those intending to become Speaker and Deputy Speaker in the 11th Parliament. The process is to be carried out in a manner of the party primaries, and the best candidate will represent the party on the 24th of May 2021, as the 11th Parliament will be choosing its Speaker and Deputy Speaker. Interested members are directed to express their interest on the 19th to the 21st of May 2021, and this process of choosing a Speaker in the NRM Constitution is not well stipulated, but Electoral Commission is ready for the challenge as being guided by the law.
Away from the speakership race, we now take a look at Democratic Party, where its president, Norbert Mao, asked the new government to prioritize on the economy, national consensus and unity, adopt a policy of low taxes in which the new term will ensure that many Ugandans pay tax compared to those that currently do. He was addressing the media at the party headquarters in Kampala. As the new government takes shape, Democratic Party looks at boosting the economy and national consensus and unity. Democratic Party President Norbert Mao said the new government should adopt low tax policies and ensure that Uganda recovers from the effects of COVID. Mao called for creation of national health insurance scheme to avert strikes in the health sector. It was on 17th of this month that medical interns at Molagos Specialized National Referral Hospital announced a sit-down strike, claiming low pay and poor working conditions.
Earlier this year, Phoebe Otara Awere, the former ambassador of Uganda to Kenya, filed an application in court against the Attorney General and the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Public Service, following the alleged termination of his contract as the ambassador of Uganda to Kenya without her consent. Being on the resignation letter dated 6th July 2020 in court, sworn in by Mark Seremba, the commissioner from Ministry of Foreign Affairs, in replay, it indicates that Ambassador Otara resigned from office. Yesterday morning, the parties appeared before Judge Esther Nambayo to continue with the hearing of this case. It was during this session that Counsel Nagemi Peter, representing Ambassador Phoebe Otara, asked for court to leave to file two applications, one asking court to summon Mark Seremba, the Commissioner, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, for close examination on his affidavit. According to Counsel Nangemi, the complaint Otara refutes the resignation letter which Seremba presented to court, saying it bears a forged signature.
Priscilla. So someone writes a resignation letter for you. That is,
and even signs on your behalf, as though it is you. But we don't know if it's the gospel truth of the story.
But the good thing is it is in court.
Yeah.
And then we shall later get to understand.
However, given the parties and the offices that they represent that are in this case, one would wonder what would be the implication of a forgery, especially on government documents, public documents such as this, Mr. Nkunda.
Really, that tantamounts to abuse of court process, and one could be liable for what we call perjury, but also you could be held in contempt for that matter as well. But I'm just wondering, why is it hard for you to cling on a job, or that simply is an appointment? If you're disappointed, the appointer has the power to appoint and disappoint. It's as simple as that. Well, because they then go and fight the battle before the appointer, not the court. It's as simple as that. Well, of course, now we do cross over to international stories, where we'll be looking at, again, Israel continues Gaza air raids as calls for ceasefire grow. Now, of course, Israel air raids pounded the Gaza Strip on Tuesday as Palestinians across the world, the West Bank and East Jerusalem, staged a historic strike in support of those under bombardment in Gaza. The US President Joe Biden, meanwhile, expressed support for a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas in a phone call with Prime Minister, that is Benjamin Netanyahu. But of course, US leaders stopped short of demanding an end in 9 days of violence that have killed at least 218 Palestinians in Gaza and 12 people in Israel. Now, the toll includes 63 Palestinians and 2 Israel children. Now, the EU Foreign Policy Chief, Joseph Borrell, called for the implementation of a ceasefire following a video conference of EU foreign ministers, adding that the call was backed by all blocs member states except Hungary. Now, still about Gaza, UN reports more than at least 52,000 Palestinians displaced amid Israeli airstrikes on Gaza. Now, more than at least 52,000 Palestinians have been displaced by Israeli airstrikes that have destroyed badly, and of course, more than 450 buildings in Gaza Strip. That is the UN aid agency said on Tuesday. Now, in a separate statement on conflict, rights group Amnesty International also said that the airstrikes on the residential building might amount to war crimes. Israel says it hits only legitimate military targets and that it cannot also target civilian casualties. Now, about 47,000 of the displaced people have sought shelter in 58 UN-run schools in Gaza. Jens Laker and the spokesperson of the United Nations Office, their coordinator of in Geneva, came out to say the same. Now, more than at least 132 buildings have been put down in the most recent 2 weeks, and the most profound affected people are about 250, and the expectation will grow. Now, of course, we cross over to Africa, where we see James Ibori. UK returns at least 5.8 million stolen by ex-governor to Nigeria. Now, some 5.8 million covered by the UK agencies that were stolen by the Nigerian foreign governor and laundered in Britain have now been returned to Nigeria. The Nigerian authorities came out to make mention that former Delta State Governor James Ibori was convicted of money laundering in the UK, and that is in 2012. Prosecutors say he stole an estimation of $165 million from the oil-rich state. Now, Bombardier Challenger jet is among the items listed in court documents for a confiscation order against Ibori, and at least 4.2 million has been recovered from Ibori's wife, sister, and fiduciary agent, who were also convicted of money laundering. Money. There's that very nice song. I tell you now. Hey, there's that song they say, man made money, but money made man mad. Money. I can tell you.
That's... I've enjoyed the last story because many people in Africa...
How can your selection of words be enjoyed? This is a bad image on the African continent.
Let me just drive my point home.
Please,
that you've seen many people have offshore accounts, think that they'll steal and store their riches, not in heaven, but in some countries. In UK. And if this is going to happen, we just urge them to be
not
more
that if it's going to happen, it is happening.
Let's ensure this happens in all African countries where this developed world can do some ways of checking.
When the EU came here to do some checks and balances after your elections, you people went mad and you said, no, mind your own business.
What they were
now
handling,
you're saying that they should come and check. No, I'm not sure if you had the president saying, I am neither West nor East. Idiot, I am Pan-African. Now, I'm not...
on issues of accountability, not human rights, on issues of accountability.
No. So we are going to be selective on where they come in to help.
If they're able... You know, one of the biggest problems of Africa is corruption. That African countries may have challenges with money, but actually the money they have, if put to use, can develop these African countries. And one of the safest haven has not been hiding money under the bed, because now some don't hide in the bank, but investing, offshore accounts, money laundering. So if they can help Africa, ensure that people now know.
Who are they that you're referring to? Why can't Africa help itself out of its own
They
problems?
lack the moral authority.
No, they do not. They have it, they just choose to not exercise it.
And I think this Felix, I don't know if he agrees with me.
No, he does not.
We have moments where you're sending a thief to catch a thief. We have syndicate corruption. That the person who would follow up the other actually is also corrupt.
But Kirabo, did they pick up these corruption syndicates from out at the diaspora? No, they did it from here. They all, displayed it here, organized it from here. So now why should they get help from outside to sort out their own problem? Hakuna mchezo. Felix, who do you agree with?
Yeah, I
choose wisely, by the way.
I know, I know.
And have the moral authority.
But since Kirabo was driving to the point, I don't know if he has reached it, and clearly Priscilla walked there. So we will go into our break, have a song for the day. The song is When We Were Young by Adele. It's a beautiful one, and it says a lot about what Robert and Kirabo are driving and walking to. Let's take a break.
Well, welcome back, and thank you so much for keeping it on UBC TV. Don't forget that we are on our various social media platforms, streaming live, but also you can catch up on Twitter, where we give you live updates of what is happening. More so today, day 3 of the swearing in of members of parliament, where we give you live coverage of that, and you can only get that on UBC TV, which will be beginning at 8 a.m. That is 8 this morning. We'll be connecting live to Parliament. But welcome to our newsreel section, where you look at the segment. We look at some of the stories that have made headlines. But before that, Priscilla, on Saturday, KCC has announced they're going to be opening the old taxi park for use. However, I have a memory of Adele and her music. One time I was in a taxi and we were heading somewhere. So they played a song, I think it was Someone Like You. You know this jam, clock tower jam, and you're seated, and one gentleman shouts, "Bana manye nyimba zemukuba mu taxi." And I was like,
because they were not resonating with the song that they were playing.
With the song they were playing.
Oh, like, okay, but it was a hit song. Anyway, Ugandans do not know really. They don't fancy so much slow music and you know, soul music.
Some call them obuyimbo buli emere. No kumikolo.
Anyway, kumikolo, yeah. But even you realize, even for the weddings that you go for, when it is full time, still there's some sort of beat, and then you see someone eating. Yeah, that song is nice. That's how it works. But the song that we just played was When We Were Young, released in 2015 by Adele. I think most of her music comes from experience, something that she has actually gone through, and the power to actually get that experience and put it in words, and then those words are composed into a song. Now that is a creative mind. Speaking of creative minds, Felix Nkunda is going to be having a conversation on Good Morning Uganda today on our agenda, talking about the creative space industry here in Uganda, and he'll be hosting Eugene Kavuma, and they'll be talking about how this industry is actually a prime industry that can sort out the issue of surplus that the president talked about in his speech. Yeah.
And before I continue with our story, which is about health, I must say you're smart today.
Merci beaucoup.
You've just talked about food and this attire.
Looks like food.
She knows what I'm referring to. Yeah, just look at that.
Does she know what? Do you know what?
You go to some
The bill said,
class.
does the bill consider such statement?
I don't know.
Okay, all right, we shall get
The
into
bill.
that.
I feel I'm next to a waitress, so if I demand for certain things to, I love that attire. Well, let's go to a newsreel story this morning, and we are focusing more on issues regarding health, where we saw the State House employees and Office of the President who are subjected, that is, to a 2-day health camp screening for different illnesses. Now, this was conducted to ensure that they have a health working force. This is not for everybody, most of the times. And as a country, we've spent a lot of time, activists, pushing for health insurance. We've seen some people fall sick, go overseas, others. There's been some imbalance in the field of health when it comes to how it's being looked at, and of course, sometimes who is a priority and who isn't a priority. I'll begin with you, Felix. This is something that we believe maybe all government workers or civil servants should be undergoing to ensure they know their health. I've seen the president when many people have lost lives, and he says, please, let's do regular body checkups. Office of the President did this.
Are they free?
Are they free from? Yes, they are free.
Where?
Free services.
Where?
To the Office of the President.
No, this camp, it was a medical camp, it was free.
No, when the president says that let's do medical checkups,
Regular.
are they free?
There's a cost.
That's what I'm saying. So, see, that's the starting point. You know, as I've always said that as a nation, we must deliver ourselves to a point where we have standards of living. You get it? And because we lack peculiar standards in terms of healthcare in this country, that's why we have challenges like that. Between you and me, you must be knowing that healthcare is the best word to use is it's a fundamental. It's as fundamental as feeding.
It's a basic need.
It's a basic. As shelter, when you talk about shelter, you talk about dressing, food, you talk about food, water. You will talk about healthcare.
Basic human right, therefore.
because you don't know when you fall sick, of what. Anything can be a cause of illness. It doesn't even have to be that you don't have exercise, you don't have checkups, anything. You get the point. We have had super footballers die of cancer. They have been training the whole of their lives. So we must, again, it brings you back to the aspect of standards, that what is our national standard policy in terms of healthcare? No, even away from public servants or civil servants. What is a national public policy? What is the policy on healthcare? Let's start there. Do we have a standard policy on healthcare as a country? Because from that, all other people should be able to fit in. Be it civil servant, public servant, just to mention but a few. Because one, people's ability to be healthy is not an instant. That you don't just, it's not something you say, I'm going to start running and I'll be healthy. It all starts from the time of what's it called?
Conceiving?
Conceiving. I almost said consumption. Conceiving a baby. It starts there. Let's look at maternal health. What is our policy on maternal health? The kind of baby also one will produce will be determined. You brought in the aspect of polio as a country, as a matter of policy. It has done tremendously well. Immunization. They will no longer have kids dying from such kind of diseases. It starts there. Infants. How do they go? Let's talk about nutrition. We must derive to a point where we have a national healthcare policy. You talked about insurance. Government is on record that government employees and nurses for institutions that have organized and have that budget are the ones that get insurance for their workers or employees. But that's not good enough. For example, which ministry has that? They don't. There's even a point I had an insurance interaction with some institution, and they were simply saying, for us, God is our insurance. I don't know if they meant to say that other people who die, they don't have God as their insurance. But that on a lighter note, it brings in two concepts: that what is government's intention in terms of curing this lacuna? That how many, because it's really on record, government is the biggest employer. Imagine if government as an institution has its own insurance company. Because it has the capacity. It has the capacity. The reverse to that, or the alternative to the same, is that maybe if it uses government hospitals as insurers or service providers for government workers, is that the same? That's why I was asking you from the start. You're telling them to do regular checkups. Is that covered?
Priscilla, many of the diseases that sometimes people die of, one, are preventable diseases, or some are a result of hygiene. But also, many a times is people, they detect these diseases when they're in an advanced stage, and there's not so much they can do. So when Office of the President, that includes RDCs, call for this, that okay, let's ensure we know their health and how best we can manage them. So this is something that maybe also other institutions would copy.
I think also this comes out from the fact that COVID-19 has brought into light that we actually may have pre-existing conditions amidst us health-wise, but we're not aware of these conditions. But when you contract a disease like COVID-19, because of those pre-existing conditions, you may heal faster, or it may take a while, or God forbid, life is even taken because of that. Now, I think it was from this revision, and usually medical camps are done out of research having been conducted, and identifying areas or zones in communities or regions or even the country that are actually affected by particular patterns of illnesses. And when those particular patterns of illnesses are identified, then a medical camp is sent into that area to be able to create awareness of that kind of illness and how treatment can be given in regards to that illness, so that they can bring down the death rate or the illness rates in that particular community. Now, looking, of course, at the office of the president, and how I wish it's not limited to the office of the president. Let it be open to public service, because all these members, even if it's just in the Ministry of Health, Public Service, Ministry of Finance, they are all in one way or another connected to the office of the president. So if they can open it up to the public service to be able to have medical checkups, regulated medical checkups, so that they can know their pre-existing conditions. Otherwise, the importance of it is that, one, you get to curb the whatever illness it is earlier, and treatment is given in order to be able to cause sustainability of life, or longevity of life for that matter. And so it's a positive move that is being taken on. We just ask that it be extended to the rest, because unless you're saying that the ones in that office are special.
Then finally on this, we know health issues are private. You know,
Are
health
they?
issues are private, yes. Even if two people went into some room, say HIV test being carried out, it's not automatic that because you're spouses, they'll just hand over whatever. So there's that element. In one way or the other, some people may believe that getting these reports, knowing their health status, maybe sometimes they would get terminated and all this. How safe is this, in your opinion?
The safety of it is that, one, you get to, for example, let's look at a disease like diabetes. The way people actually get to know that they're diabetic is when they've gotten another condition that causes them to go to a hospital. Then the doctor is forced to check for other alternatives as to why this particular condition is actually having control over your body. And then they get to find out that you're diabetic. And such diseases, they will not show up immediately. You will have it, but you will not know exactly how it shows up. Now, the importance of these medical camps is to help you realize that there's some conditions that you can actually get without you not being knowledgeable about it. And then they test you, and then they will give you knowledge about, just in case you do have it, then they can help you start to walk the treatment mile so that you can save yourself and be able to buy yourself some time as far as life is concerned.
This is a good move by Office of the President, but we pray that it can be extended to other ministry, other institutions, and also health camps of a similar nature can be extended to different communities, because when a person detects an illness early enough, then it's cheaper and there are high chances of one recovering from the disease. When we return, we'll be looking at what is trending in the print media, but also the lady will be giving you more regarding weather. Good morning, we'll return shortly. Once again, welcome to day 3 of the swearing in of members of parliament. And just a reminder, we'll be heading to parliament at exactly 8 to ensure that we give you the function and events as they unfold at the August House parking lot, where members of parliament elected members of parliament will be sworn in and they'll take oath for the next 5 years. In the new vision, still, these are stories that dominate. Here we see Pomp as Kadaga and 130 other MPs take oath. There's a picture of Rebecca Kadaga and being escorted with her mother to take that oath. Then also still in the new vision, we look at members disagree on voting method. That is a speaker race. 3 key issues at the SEC, that is Central Executive Committee of the ruling party. What happened in that meeting? Then Gitui beats albinism stigma to excel. Yes, he's there and against all odds, he made it. Then General Muhoozi meets Russians. That is the senior presidential advisor on special operations. Lieutenant General Muhoozi Kainerugaba had a meeting there. Primary 7 exams to change. That is in the education column. And suspected city serial rapist held. That is police in Kampala opened another rape case against Dennis Mutumba 3 days after he was charged at Nakawa Magistrate Court. And revisiting Kanungu tragedy, those that remember the Chiwetere incident there where 300 lives were lost.
Monitor crisis looms as India stops vaccine export there. Now meet Ginger's 80-year-old mechanic and creating conversation in space. Now ministers sued for continued stay in office and how medical intern strike has affected health service there. Now, of course, still in photos here, swearing in fate, looking at more MPs take oath of office on the second day, and in photos here they show you a gentleman with a toe-belted trouser. Well, of course, now inside the papers, we'll be looking at MP swearing in kicks off and intern doctors go on strike up to at least 1,403. Now, from the archives, there's a photo workers of Lloyd Forex Bureau Kampala update the exchange rates on September 27, that is in 2000. Now today in history, British officer killed in Ankole, and also in history, Egypt Air flight disappears overseas.
In the new vision, still we look at COVID-19 statistics. Our focus on the East African region, where the death toll now for Rwanda is 344, come to Kenya 3,021, then South Sudan 115. Looking at still the new vision, they bring you France host summit on bailout for Africa. Today in history, it was on this date, the 19th of May, the year 2000, when President Museveni switched on dam. That is President Yoweri Museveni commissioned that 2,000 megawatts Owen Falls Dam extension in Jinja district. Still on this very date, the 19th of May, the year 1994, Banda accepts defeat. Okay, that is the President Kamuzu Banda accepted defeat there. Now your member of parliament, and who do we have today? We have Julius Mukasa Oponde, who is MP Bujumba County, also Sylvia Nayebale, that is Roman MP Gomba, and Fred Bwino, that is MP Kiguru North County.
Now in sports, in the Daily Monitor, Cheptengei, Kiplimo go different routes, and Ankole Lions leave Poor Vipers flagless, express atop UPL log there. Now, Kane transfer saga, tired of White Hart Lane. The England captain is reportedly becoming disgruntled with Tottenham Hotspurs failing to win a trophy for at least 13 seasons in the row there. Now, still about sports, LeBron touts Curry for MVP, and of course, Sun Cranes descend on Senegal with World Cup desire.
Vision Sport, we look at sportswomen. Who have they brought this Wednesday? Well, it is inside there. Then was Nachiwala a Fufa fix? That is a very big question in the new Vision Sport. And have Mbara shock Vipers at home, and more regarding the Star Times Uganda Premier League. But these and more, Ruben will be here to give you the details. I see Priscilla ready to take you through. That is the traffic updates. Our traffic officer Priscilla, good morning.
Good morning to you. Thank you so much, Robert and Felix. Now we get to look at the traffic, and of course, given the fact that today is equally the third day for Makerere University graduation, the 71st graduation of the university, the prime university of this country, we get to see the different routes that can actually get you through Makerere on this morning to avoid the jam that is probably building up around the university main gate, in consideration of people that are going in for the swearing, not the swearing in ceremony, the graduation ceremony. Now there's two routes. If you're coming through Old Kampala, there's alternatives that you can use. You do have an alternative that is coming out from downtown Kampala. We do have Gaddafi Road, or you do have Sir Apollo Kagwa Road from Old Kampala. Now let's follow old Sir Apollo Kagwa route to be able to get into Makerere and see what it looks like. And for this morning, you do have some traffic that is building up for Sir Apollo Kagwa route, and it's having traffic building up, but now it has cleared, and you only do have the traffic building up in just this short corner here on Sir Apollo Kagwa route that leads you into Makerere through Full Gospel and the Full Gospel traffic lights here. Now this cross section here is where you do have traffic lights. This side you're going to Nankulave. That side you are continuing to Sir Apollo Kagwa route, and then you get to have a cross junction with Makerere Hill. Now at the traffic lights, there's no traffic so much coming in from Sir Apollo past the traffic lights, getting into Old Kampala, but obviously because of the traffic lights, that shows you that is why you're seeing the green side and the orange on this other side. The moment they are released, this traffic is going to loosen up and actually continue its destination into Old Kampala. On the other side, you would be expecting some traffic building up, especially on Sir Apollo Kagwa route, because of what usually happens. But the new normal under the university states that only people that are PhD holders, master holders, and first-class degree holders are the ones that are actually coming for the physical event ceremony at Makerere University. The rest of the graduates are actually going to be doing it live online, and so that shows you how jam is actually not so bad on Sir Apollo Kagwa. Usually this would actually be a dead road to use today, but the orange red zones only show you because of the traffic lights. Now when we go back to Old Kampala, trying to access the university, and you do have Gaddafi Road as another option. Now Gaddafi Road on Old Kampala, of course, there is that traffic jam there that you are seeing, but then again the rest of Gaddafi Road seems to have a lot of jam to and from. That is from Makerere areas into Old Kampala, and from Old Kampala into those areas. Now when you get to see the rest of Gaddafi Road, it is actually having some serious jam. Now Gaddafi Road does connect to Makerere Hill Road, where you do have Makos, that is Makerere College hostel here, and the college across the road. Now that is where Gaddafi Road does bring in its considerations. Now you get to see that it doesn't have so much jam this morning from Makerere Hill, but heading into Old Kampala, I think because commuter taxis actually use it as an optional route to get into Old Kampala, that is why we are experiencing some traffic jam there. Equally, most recently, it has become a mini park because the old park has still been under construction, and some of these vehicles, some of these taxis had to find mini locations for temporary solutions as to them being in the park or out of the park. Now let's look at the main route that brings in traffic to Makerere, and that would be Kampala Road. Now looking at Kampala Road from the city square this morning, we don't have any much jam. The orange zones that you are seeing are simply because they are commuter taxi stages. Those are the only places that will have a challenge, and you can see that the rest of it is clear. Now when you get to see Kampala Road around the KCCA roundabout that connects to Chagwe route, just having a sneak peek into Chagwe route that also usually has a lot of jam. When you zoom in, you get to see that Chagwe Road is having orange zone. That is simply because also commuter taxis from Old Kampala, Gaddafi Road, are using Chagwe Road to actually access the new taxi park. Also trading vehicles, trucks, lorries are using the very same route to access the business center here in Old Kampala or downtown Kampala. Now that does explain the orange into red zones that you are seeing below Kampala Road. But sticking to Kampala Road as the main route to Makerere University. The rest of it joining Bombo Road seems to be clear. There's not so much past Bat Valley. There's not so much jam that you are seeing there. Now, when we see how this actually does feed into Makerere University, we get into Wandegea, where you do have the cross junction. You do have the very route that we are following, heading into Kalere and the likes. Then you do have Wandegea past the police post and the likes, to show you how the jam is actually building up there. Now on to Makerere University main gate, obviously for obvious reasons, graduation. People are getting into the university, so that explains the red zones that you are seeing there. Congratulations to every one of you that has actually achieved this milestone as a bachelor's holder, a PhD holder and a master's holder. Now, speaking of which, we have members of parliament that have been sworn in and have also gotten their degrees in the very same season. We have member of parliament, and that is Anna Adeke, as she was graduating as a law student. Congratulations to you. Also, there's the NUP representative there, spokesperson for NUP, also graduated with a degree in law. That is Joel Senyoni. But equally, we also do have another graduate, Kafuma Gonzaga, also graduating today. Congratulations to you, Gonzaga. You watch UBC, and thank you so much, and we wish you all the best. But equally, our very own Molen Kenyena also graduated yesterday. Congratulations to you, Molen.
Thank you very much, Priscilla. Here, I think in Luganda we call it Mugole. I'm still a Mugole, so yeah, I'm enjoying.
Okay, so
thing.
what did you graduate in, and what do you have for us today?
Of course, in the same field that I like so much, in meteorology. And yeah, basically I am passionate about weather and climate, which is what I'm doing even right now. So it is a good day. It was a good day for me, and still today it is a good day for me. Now, talking of which, we do have a good day across much of the country, but that depends on what weather you consider good. And this morning we started off with rains mostly to the to the western parts of Lake Victoria Basin, as well as parts of central. But we still have those rains still around across that area. So Rakai already, even right now as I speak, we do have those rains still over there and across parts of Masaka and also the rest of western Lake Victoria. You can't expect to have those rains going on even this morning. We do have that rainy system still that is across parts of central Mityana, already having those rains, and the system is headed across this region. So Mubende, be ready for those rains. They're coming your way in just a few minutes. We do have that system also continuing to the western parts of central that could be bringing us rains this morning. Now, coming in across western Uganda, we still have that system that is overly across the western parts, but mostly to the Congo side, that is propagating westwards, so it won't be bringing much rains across this area. However, we do have cloudy systems that are starting to develop with just a little bit of rainy conditions coming in, but that will be across midwestern Uganda and also across the Choga region this morning. We do have also some of the rainy systems developing across central north, that is coming all the way up to Padel, Gulu, but that will clear in later on. But for now, it is still a little bit cloudy across that area. Now, we also have mostly intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions across the eastern part of the country. Okay, coming back here across Kampala, Mukono, Buikwe, most of this region in central Lake Victoria Basin is basically having intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions. Although we started off with some of those rains, but those were only about a few areas. We do expect more rains to come in as the day progresses. But for now, it is mostly intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions. Now, this system that is over Kampala is what is actually moving on closely towards parts of central, and that is bringing in mostly rainy conditions, like I mentioned, across Mubende and also Mityana. So that is an area to look out for this morning, having a little bit of rains over there. Now, also these parts of Rengo, Lyantonde, we do have those rains even as I speak coming your way. So please do look out for those. Otherwise, it is a pleasant morning across much of the country. Now we go further into our forecast for today. We do forecast mostly intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions across the central part of the Lake Victoria Basin, like I mentioned earlier. Now that area will be bringing in mostly rainy conditions, but only over a few areas. And we do have temperatures going up to 26 degrees. Quite a warm morning, so you can't really complain. But we do have that cloudy system still around, although we have the sun coming through. Now for the rest of the areas, we do have a forecast for western parts of Central, where we have Nakaseke, Ruwero, Wobulenzi. We do expect those sunny intervals, but also with chances of showers. You do have your mornings at 27 degrees, quite warm morning as well. You can't complain. Now we do have a forecast for southwestern Uganda, where we have Mbarara, Bushenyi, Rubirizi and Ibanda. We have temperatures at 26, but also we have that rainy system headed your way, so we are forecasting rainy conditions this morning across the area, but that will be 50% of the region. Now we also have Mbale, Bududa, Sironko, that is across the Elgon region. We are forecasting mostly a sunny morning with intervals of cloudy conditions, and temperatures will be at 26 degrees Celsius. Moving further across Soroti, Moria, Kumi, Katakwi, we also have quite a pleasant morning over there, mostly sunny conditions. You will have a few clouds within the intervals, but it will be mostly sunny, and temperatures will be at 27 degrees centigrade. Now moving further across, that is southwestern Uganda, like I mentioned, we do have those showers coming in later, but also mostly sunny conditions. Well, that is what we have for you in the forecast. Today morning, we'll be looking at mostly what we have generally across the country. We have a reduction in wet weather conditions this morning, but we do expect more to pick up later in the afternoon. You can follow our conversation still across our social media handles. We're also streaming live. Coming up, we do have Parliament also, but still we have the agenda. My name is Molan Kenyana, wishing you a good morning.
Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda.
What does it mean to be closer together? It's taking the last bus home for a surprise visit. Closer together is strangers finding a connection. It's bringing home something much more than a box. It's the warmth of home, or the beginning of something new. There's magic in sharing the things that we love, because it's those things that bring us close together.
Echa COVID-19 chijja kugwa. If we get vaccinated now, observe social distancing, wear masks properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly. Together we can defeat this enemy.
by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Prosper with Airtel Money today. Agent application and registration is free of charge. All you need to submit as a sole proprietor business is a letter from the business owner requesting for a SIM card and the purpose of the SIM card. Certified copy of Certificate of Registration of the Business issued by URSB. Certified copy of Statement of Particulars of the Registered Business and supporting statutory declaration in verification of the particulars. Copy of Valid Trading License. Copy of Operational License issued by the relevant regulatory authority. Copy of TIN Certificate issued by URA. Valid National ID for Ugandan proprietor or passport for foreign national, including a valid immigration entry permit, work permit, visa, or residence certificate. Colored passport size photograph of the proprietor and handler of the business. Proof of current physical address of the business, tenancy agreement or utility bill in the name of the proprietor or landlord, or LC1 introduction letter confirming ownership and location of the business. You will be informed of your application status within a maximum of 5 working days, still free of charge. Upon successful agent application, Airtel will provide training and customized branding material for your business location, still free of charge. To register, call us today on 126 toll-free. Airtel Money. Simple, secure, borderless. Airtel is regulated by Uganda Communications Commission.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, good morning once again, all our viewers, and thank you so much for watching UBC. And of course, good morning, Uganda. Now, do not forget, we do come to you Monday to Friday, 6:30 to 9. But of course, because of the current swearing-in of our members of parliament, our production has been cut to about 8. But nevertheless, it is part of current affairs. Now, today we'll be looking at something quite versatile, and in terms of creative art, something quite interesting that has actually consumed a number of youth today who try to find their space within, of course, the economy, the socio-economy aspect, and bring into focus culture and how they can earn from the same. Now, with me to discuss this particular topic is Igin Kavuma, who's from Motive. He will tell us more about Motive and himself. Good morning, Kavuma.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you? It's good to see you this morning.
Good to see you too.
Someone said that you look like you're Wakanda forever.
Yeah, I was, but you know we come from nearby countries.
Yeah, so yeah. Wakanda, Uganda,
yeah.
I don't know what else is there, Uyanda, but anyway. Yeah. So tell me, Kavuma, what is Motive, and what is this whole thing, Motive?
So Motive is 2 things depending on who you are.
All right.
If you are creative, Motive is the home for you, because we've built out a space that's targeting all manner of people who play within the creative and culture sector and want to build businesses in there. So that is, if you're a filmmaker, photographer, sound designer, we have a space there for you. If you are someone who plays within the fabric space, you're a fashion designer, you're a stylist, you work with different things, leather, cotton, backcloth, etc., all those things. So there's a space for you. If you work within metal and wood, so you're a sculptor, you're a carpenter, you're a welder, there's just a space for you. So you create crafts within those materials. But we also have, because it's a creative and culture space, Okay. Food is a large section of that as well. So we have a kitchen station, and this place is for people who are like mama meres. You know, you cook for people over the weekends. You cook for small birthday parties. Yeah. So we've built out cloud kitchens to allow you to cook to use a space when you need to use it, and then when you don't need to use it, you know, it's available for someone else.
Okay, so basically when you talk about motive, one would want to know what, fine, you've given us a breakdown of who you're intending to work with, but then are we limited to particular age groups? Are we focusing on the youth? Are we focusing on the infants? Are we looking at the wazeis who are retiring?
Yeah.
Because just to bring it in context, to know what kind of audience we're looking at when we talk about motive and the activities you guys do.
Yeah, interesting. So our primary target really are young people, so that's between the age of 18 and 35. We have a few programs that target younger children, so young motives, but then we are not specifically targeting older people. Yeah. And that's fine by us. Our goal is to make sure that the young people that we work with get opportunities, consistent work opportunities that they can make a living out of. As you know, it's a good thing if you're creating employment opportunities for the generation that's earning a living now, because then in the future you're avoiding the black tax situation.
That's true.
Yeah.
And of course, majorly when people are doing something they love to do, and they don't probably hustle much to do. I can imagine a doctor struggling to become a doctor, now someone using their talent to earn from it, and how beautiful it is. Now, something also quite interesting about motive, again, Kavuma will bring in, is what, for example, what's the purpose? What's the end in it? Because if it's just about creating spaces for these people, that anyone can do. We can just work out and say, but what's the end in all these activities of motive?
So our end result is to make sure that we create 300,000 meaningful job opportunities. Wow. Yeah. Wow. These 300,000, and when we say meaningful, we mean that someone can continue to earn from this over and over again. As a livelihood. Yes. Okay. And also, you see, the interesting thing about the creative sector is it is the easiest one to get into, because all you need is an imagination. And an imagination, and then you use your inspiration from your culture. You put those two things together.
Contextualize them.
You start to create amazing things. So our ultimate end result is 300,000 jobs. And once we hit that and we can track it, we'll say, let's go home and sleep.
How old is Motive? How long have you guys been around?
So I like to describe it this way. You've heard of the film Batman? So like, you know, Bane and Batman, and Batman is making all these antics, trying to disappear in the darkness, and Bane tells him, I was born in the darkness, molded by it, shaped by it. So we were born in COVID, in the middle of COVID last year. We started doing all of this with the awareness that there's going to be a time when this is going to end, and the people we're going to need, the people we have to pay attention to when this thing ends are the guys in the creative and culture space. Yeah. So we're born last year in...
Wow. And you've come this far already.
Have we?
I can imagine. I can imagine. Well, of course, now something, there are very many youth out there. There are very many people out there who would want to work with you in terms of your various projects. People out there are very talented. They have the inspiration, they have the idea, they really want to do something with whatever is cooking up in their minds. How do they work with you?
How do you work with us? So we are located on plot 7K, Old Port Bay Road. It's opposite National Water on that Old Port Bay Road before that. So we put a mirror on the outside with large wings. So a good way to work with us is to walk in.
Wow.
Yeah, we accept people walking in and asking to meet with the community team, the tribe team. Okay. When so someone will sit down with you, listen to your idea, and say how to make that work. But much more specifically, as our opportunity to reach out to people, not waiting for them to reach out to us. we run multiple things. We run competitions where we ask people to submit ideas. We pay for those ideas, and we make sure that the winners have opportunity, like have a small grant cash prize they win, but also we go ahead to produce the work that they are doing. But also we run multiple trainings, specifically in the areas of woodwork, in fabric, textile training. We're teaching people how to brand their work as creatives, how to market their work as creatives. We are, so one, follow us on social media, because we announce all of these things, and two, please just walk in.
Now, you did talk about competitions, and this is where I want us now to hit the gist of this whole thing. I understand you've been running a couple of them, or you are running one actually currently, and I want you to kindly please talk about it so our viewers can interest themselves and know about basically what you guys are doing. What is this competition?
So we have multiple competitions, but right now we are focusing on one called Threaded, and as you hear it, Threaded is within the fabric space. But we have multiple ones that run across all the other spaces, and Threaded is targeted to the fashion designer, the stylist, any designer basically who works within using some kind of fabric, from leather to lubugo, whatever that's whatever. As long as your material, your best material is fabric, this competition is for you. And we've broken it down into two. So there's a general category where if you have access to social media and you have access to the internet, you can just go and apply threaded.motive.africa and fill in the form there. We'll get your details. But then also we have the hero category, with the awareness that not everyone has access to internet, or at least has a good grasp of how to deliver it. So the hero category, we are reaching out to hard-to-reach areas and inviting the people from those spaces, and also allowing them to drop off their stuff at home. So
basically, when people come into these competitions, what are the expectations? What do they expect? When, for example, are we going to have winners? Are we going to have losers? Are we having first runner-up, second runner-up? And what's in for them? Because mostly when, and on top of having the platform, people would want to maybe know, do we win? Do you take someone to Paris to work with a senior model somewhere to hit the runway? I'm thinking, well, what is the expectation?
So, we have a winner, and we're offering a winner the 2 million prize for the general category and 1 million prize for our hero category. But the top 5, first of all, the top 10 are going to be taught the business of fashion. How do you pitch your idea? How do you sell it? How do you make sure it has a return on investment? How do you brand yourself? How do you ensure that the stuff that you do is sellable? But then the top 5 from the top 10 will actually have a showcase of their work at Motive. So there will be like a fashion show of the people who are delivering, who have been in the top 5, whose line we will produce. And then that line will end up on our shop.motive, but also Omoleso Africa. I heard you talk about Omoleso. But also Omoleso, and because that's our like marketplace.
Just also to probably also cause, out of curiosity, are we planning to expand this Motive beyond the boundaries of Uganda later on, or are we already outside this country? What's sort of like the big dream for Motive? Away from the 3, how many jobs? What's the big dream in terms of exposure and visibility?
So we found out when we're doing our research that the creative and culture economy adds £10 million an hour to the British economy. So we want to do that for Africa. We want to activate the creative economy in the whole of Africa to be able to do that and more per hour. So yes, our dreams are, even our name is motive.africa. So currently you work with some other African partners? No, not yet. Currently we are present on Uganda, but also in the region. So we have a presence in Arua, we have a presence in Mbale, we have a presence in Gulu, Jinja, Mbarara, and also recently a presence in Fort Portal.
One of the biggest challenges with creative arts, and I'll tell you, having had contact with most of people today. For example, people who do chalani, who do those things, have been previously known in this country as people who do patches. You know, just patches. Agenda kuwe chalani kubire chiraka kumpale. Agenda ku. That is the idea. That is the mind of people when it comes to creative arts in terms of sewing. When you come to composition, like people who make baskets, you know, bibo, what
crafts?
No, I've never seen a craft or a chibo, let me say, that costs about 50,000 shillings. You know, what I'm trying to bring to you is that there's all this mind captivity in terms of creative art. There's this negativity. Few parents will let their kids go, you know, happily. You go and learn how to, you know, be a designer. How are we going to change the mindset? How are you dealing with the mindset element?
That's actually it's a very good question. We've understood something. One, that this process is going to involve a certain element of education, so informing people. Then it's also going to involve a certain element of demonstration, so showing rather than telling, so showing people the possibilities. And then it's going to involve a certain element of celebrating. So we know that some of the reasons why the other professions receive as much respect as they do is because of how much they are celebrated. But also we know that the reason why some of those other professions receive as much respect from our elders as they do is because of the trust that you will earn a living out of it. And then we also know that they have, first of all, they trust because they have seen it happen.
There's a better assurance.
Yes, there's a better assurance. So, of course we are aware that there's an education gap, and an awareness gap, and that awareness gap is to tell the guardians, this is an option for your child, this is why it's an option, and also showing them examples. Oh, by the way, see these people, see those people, see those people, they did this as well.
Speaking about that, and probably lastly, as we complete our conversation, something quite disturbs me lately in Uganda, and there's been a lot of challenges against basically the arts industry, the creative arts. What have been some of your most profound challenges, at least since when you guys started off this whole project?
I will say that when I talk to the community I work with, so we have animators, for example, as part of our community. And when we have an opportunity to conversate with them, the challenges are around things like, if I'm going to buy a $1,000 computer, by the time it comes here, it will cost $1,700. So, and how can you quickly scale from employing 11 people to 100 people if every computer is going to cost that much? So in terms of tech, there's that challenge. It's pretty similar with camera equipment and stuff like that. Also, there's the others tend to be almost personal and based off of the individual and their self-belief. Like you've mentioned, there's not that much belief that you can make it happen in this space. So I do meet with a lot of young people getting into the space, coming to join Motive, and the first thing you have to instill in them is that it's possible. So even because of all the beatage that happens from across, I mean, also the creative arts are very direct. If you see the illustrations that go around and etc. So they do garner a lot of negative sentiment from people who hold power, because they tend to cut through a lot of things.
They just don't understand these things sometimes.
They're like, how can you say that? How do you
do that?
And there's also the challenge that the creative tends to be on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, already on the point of self-actualization, even before they are rich enough, even before they have money. So it's very difficult to understand how someone can be content and yet they are living in a very broke life. So their happiness is derived from something so different than the ordinary. Exactly. And so that of course is going to constantly create head like friction between everyone else.
The reality, actually.
Yeah.
What is happening in the creative arts.
Yes.
Yeah, but anyway, just a quick one also, lastly. What keeps you guys going? Amidst all these challenges, amidst what are some of those things you say and you're like, yeah, I think we will pace on. It's okay. Having all these challenges, what keeps you guys going?
I think that what keeps us going is the opportunity we have to create actual, meaningful, lasting impact for the creative and culture sector. Yeah, we've already felt just a little bit of that.
Okay.
And we are addicted. We are addicted to making creatives' lives better now. Yeah.
What should we expect?
What should you expect? More opportunities to learn. We've done a few things with people like Lukman Ali and other entities. So more opportunities to learn for people from film, from food, more competitions coming up, and amazing things such as Shoot Your Shot, which is again a film and a film competition coming up, but also more events over at our space, training events, learning events, networking events for creatives out there. Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, there's been a big contradiction between culture, arts, culture, and customs.
Yeah.
Culture has contradicted greatly with law, with modernity, with just to mention but a few. And you've seen that in as much as you want to represent culture in its true sense and originality, but don't you find yourself contradicting with daily lives? For example, imagine social media, vis-a-vis, and you talked about it earlier, people may not understand the concept of how you present culture. How do you deal with this contradiction of culture and of course changing times, but yet you want to present it to the people beautiful and still original?
Well, I don't actually think that culture contradicts with changing times. The definition of culture is part and parcel of the definition of culture is that culture is dynamic.
All right.
Yeah. All right. So it moves, in its very definition is that it moves with the times. And so I think we are contributing to the culture. If you look at things like pop culture, a definition of pop culture is that it's popular culture, so it's a thing that's currently happening. If you're talking about it in the traditional sense, we use it in that context as a source of inspiration. So you can look at a drum and say, I used that drum to help create this. So I used my culture as a source of inspiration to create this new thing that I'm making, maybe making a table that looks like Ngalabi. So we don't actually fight with culture. We don't find that we find points of conflict. It's more like a source of inspiration.
It's more like all right, that's a beautiful one. And lastly, my colleague, my friend Kavuma here, your last words to all out there, the youth or the people you think you would want to be a part of the cause of Motive.
Yes, so if you are a creative, and by that I mean you wake up in the morning and you use your imagination to make a living, we have a home for you, and that's Motive. And if you are someone interested in anything creative, then we have a destination for you where you can find creatives making awesome things and have opportunity to interact with them. If you just look at them and just marvel at how they think, there's also a space that we create to make that interaction happen. So drop by Motive, plot 7K Old Port Bay Road. It's kind of opposite National Water along Old Port Bay Road, and you'll see the signpost on the ground and a bunch of murals on the outside. So we can't wait to have you.
Well, thank you so much, Kavuma, again. It's a pleasure to host you guys at Motive, and of course to all our youth out there. Kavuma doesn't say, he said he didn't want a lot of retiring people here. But nevertheless, all of you people who love culture, art, and of course try to put imagination into concept, please be a part of this good and big project of Motive. But nevertheless, remember, swearing in is on, and of course the 11th Parliament members are taking oath since Monday today and tomorrow, I guess. But of course, we'll be giving you that live here on UBC. Now we'll take a break and we will continue with our normal programming. Good morning.